Hey guys, welcome to Dogo Argentino USA, the channel where we chat about dogos. I have been super busy, guys. I'm sorry I haven't been pumping out videos like I was last year, but I started a second business and that's been taking a lot of time. Now, I am really hopeful that you guys are aware of this, but you might not be, so stay tuned. Did you know that Seresto flea collars have been linked to nearly 700 pet deaths? So this is a very popular brand of flea collars, and it's been linked to deaths of nearly 1,700 pets. But for some reason, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency has not issued a warning to the public. The Seresto flea collars, they were developed by Bayer, and they have been linked, if we're being exact, to 1,698 pet deaths since being introduced in 2012. And through June of 2020, the EPA has received more than 75,000 major and minor injury reports related to these flea collars. And one of the really scary things is that the EPA report said that there was over 1,000 incidents of humans being harmed while in close proximity to these collars due to the pesticides involved. So the EPA has known about these incidents for years and years and years, but they have not taken it upon themselves to inform the public of the potential risks associated with this product. So a retired EPA employee who was known by the name of Karen McCormick said that, and I quote, "The EPA appears to turn a blind eye to this problem, and after 7 years of increasing numbers of incidents, they are telling the public that they are just continuing to monitor the situation. But I think this is a significant problem that needs to be addressed sooner rather than later." And of course, the spokeswoman for Elanco, which sells the Seresto collars, said, and I quote, "We take the safety of our products very seriously and thoroughly investigate potential concerns related to their use." So what do I think that's about? I think it's two things. I think that without putting it in so many words, there's an acceptable level of dog death, and it hasn't hit the level where they find it a problem yet. So even though 1,000 people have gotten sick and 1,700 dogs have died, and they've had over 75,000 complaints, that has not hit the level of concern for them. So I think it's very important to understand that flea collars are pesticides, and pesticides are very strong ways of repelling fleas, ticks, and other pests. But pesticides are a double-edged sword. Yes, you're keeping those things away, but you could also be making your dog very sick, and in this case, you could be causing or contributing to a dog death. So I really think that you have to take information in about flea collars and understand that flea collars can indeed be quite dangerous. So when you're considering a flea collar, I would really think, do I want to use Seresto, which has an obvious problem? And the problems are terrible. So there was one dog owner, Rhonda Baumwell, who told the newspaper, in this case USA Today, that she had bought one of Bayer's Seresto flea collars for her 9-year-old dog and attached it around his neck, and a day later he had seizures, collapsed, and stopped breathing, and he died. And they didn't think about it right away, but as it turns out, there are two pesticides. I'm probably going to mispronounce them. I'm sorry. Imidacloprid and flumethrin in Seresto that have been found to be eligible for continued registration. And what that means is they basically think that it's okay to continue to use this. And of course, we understand that no pesticide is completely without harm, and it's really the level of death that they're concerned about. So it's numbers. You could say that in your eyes, if it's your dog, one dog that dies from a flea collar is too many. But in terms of the EPA, they don't look at it that way. They look at it as an overall percentage of the number of dogs that have died directly related to the flea collar, and it's a percentage. And if that percentage is low enough, they don't really care. And of course, just like humans, some pets are going to be more sensitive to pesticide. And imidacloprid, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, is part of a insecticide that is used primarily on crops in the United States, and it's used to get rid of worms. So they have ingredients that may be used in other ways, but that doesn't mean that you personally or your pet personally couldn't be extremely sensitive. So what are some signs of being sensitive? A skin rash breaking out. If you have neurological issues, such as suddenly the dog collapses, it can't walk, that would be a neurological issue, also a motor issue. And the thing is that when people lose their dogs, there is no amount of this is okay that's going to satisfy them. So there was another person, Ron Packard, he was of Massachusetts. He had 2 dogs, and both dogs died in June 2019. They had seizures, they became lethargic, they started to vomit, they refused to eat, and both dogs ended up dying 2 weeks later. And he had put the Seresto collars on both dogs a month before their death. And so basically what happened is the pesticide built up in their system over a month, and then they both passed away. So the thing is, you might have problems as well. It might not just be your dog. So we had one incident that was reported of a 67-year-old woman. She slept in bed with her dog who was wearing one of the collars, and then she started having heart arrhythmia and fatigue. And they have another story of a 12-year-old boy who was in bed with his dog, and he started to have seizures. So just be aware that this particular brand of flea collar, Seresto, which is Seresto, is dangerous on some level. And you have to make the choice whether you're like, hey, it's not dangerous enough for me to stop using, or it's totally dangerous enough for me to stop using. I wanted to get this news out to you. I hope that it is of use to you. Hey, if you want to see this channel stick around, you know what to do. Like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. I will see you next time. Thank you, as always, for your time and attention. And don't forget, have a Dogo-tastic day.